Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome back. Episode 17. We were a little late on Thursday, so I did a little thing Friday, and now all of a sudden we're back today. And hope everybody had a good weekend. We got Neil back with us again today. How's the Neilster doing?
Don't ever call me that again, please. That was so weird. No, I'm doing good. Busy week last week. From the Devils' perspective, gotta love what you saw in Florida. I mean, you win,
Yeah, they.
and really quick with that again. And we talked about it earlier this year. Whoever made the schedule for some of these teams this year is an idiot.
I
Like,
know.
we thought it was a good idea that like the Devils and Panthers should play each other back to back, not back to back days, but they played 2 games in a row against one another.
Right.
Like I didn't get that. I didn't get it, but it is what it is. But yeah, no, things have been good. Like I said, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I also now cover the Brooklyn Nets in the NBA, so I've been keeping tabs on that. Just saw today PWHL, by the way,
Yes.
today, earlier this morning. They're doing like a tour this year where they're going
Yeah.
to be in like a bunch of different cities. I think they're going to Vancouver,
Seattle.
going to
I think.
Buffalo, they're going to Detroit. And I think what they're doing, Kyle, which I will say real quick is a genius marketing move.
So
They're trying
smart.
to get an idea as to when we expand. Do we expand here? Do we expand there? Where do we look to? And I think that that's good. I think that that's really good. I would like to see a team in Calgary. I think that Calgary fans might actually get behind a women's team.
Mhm.
There's a lot of different. It's just to me, it's just really good market. I think the PWHL has done a really good job up until this point with like listening to the fans and making it a good product. Like, even the jerseys are, for the most part, in my opinion, are great.
I think they suit the league.
Yeah, yeah,
Like it works really well.
it works really well.
So I think,
Also,
and like, yeah,
I was
go
gonna say
ahead.
really quick, other NHL news: Yaroslav Askarov just got called up by the San Jose Sharks
So
today.
there you go.
So there
Let's see
you
him get a
go.
start. Real quick, before we move on, like with the PWHL. So you have Seattle, Vancouver, Denver, Quebec City. That'll be a good one.
That's a good one.
Buffalo, Raleigh, Detroit, and St. Louis. So I think what they're trying to do, you're right. Like the takeover tour looks great. But also like they've centralized their teams, don't forget, right? Like with Toronto, Ottawa, Boston, right? Minnesota, a little bit of an outreach, right? But they're trying to centralize it. And I think like just seeing this, like they can have a real opportunity to grab Quebec City. That would be really good.
Perfect opportunity.
Buffalo, maybe, I guess you're gonna find out, right?
It's just tough with
Um,
Buffalo because like you then have like you're gonna have then New York, Buffalo, Toronto, and
yeah,
Montreal. Like you're kind of jamming up like a bunch of these
that
teams.
section. The one that I read there, I think that is probably gonna get one soon is Detroit. That's
That's what I've been hearing. Yeah, Detroit seems like
Detroit.
when they expand, that's like number one. I
That's a
think what
sure
they'll
thing.
want to do, I think they're going to try to pick one American city and one Canadian city for next year and then just go from there. So I
Yep.
would bet money it's going to be Detroit. And then in terms of Canada, I would probably bank on Quebec City.
Quebec City. Yeah, they got the arena to do it. They totally do. And they're gonna
Exactly.
if
And
that
I
team's not
think
gonna
that
do it, then they will.
with the NHL, Gary Bettman saying like, it's not going to happen anytime soon. Fine. Perfect opportunity here because finally you'll get a professional team to play in that arena and you'll give them an opportunity to showcase to everybody, hey, you put an NHL team here, this is what you're going to get.
Bingo.
So,
Yeah. Well, we had a milestone Friday night. You want to dive into it?
yes, let's do it.
Let's do it. I made a fun little slide to put
Yay.
things in perspective.
I have
I
not seen
saw
it
it.
yet, by the way, guys.
Okay.
Full disclosure. Don't know what I'm
I saw it
expecting.
I think I saw it on Twitter, and then I'm like, oh, like where did it go? I was trying to see it again, so I had to kind of like half-ass it a little bit and try to find it. But this was it. So here, let me just fix that for everybody here.
Yep.
So on Friday, we'll get into it a bit more. Flames big win, big shutout win for Dustin Wolf. Congratulations, first career shutout for him. Super happy for him. If this looks bad, that's because it is, because I threw it together in like 2 seconds. But I wanted to bring this into perspective, right? Rangers have been off to a tough start this year. But we're talking, remember how we talked about Shesterkin? right? And how he wants his money. He wants the 11.5 million, right? And he had a great start to the season, and it's kind of tailed off a little bit, right?
A little bit.
This puts things in a beautiful perspective, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You have somewhat similar records, right?
Mm-hmm.
6 wins, 7 wins there. Now both have 1 shutout.
Yep.
Goals against average, Wolf's been better. Save percentage, Wolf's been better.
Yeah.
So there's now, mind you, there's been a lot of other goalies who are clearly better than these two guys. I was looking at it earlier, the Hellebucks, the Ottingers, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do this mainly because this guy wants to get paid $11.5 million, right? And early on in the season, we were like, yeah, I think so. And then all of a sudden, kind of dwindled down a little bit. We'll get into the game aspect of it in a second. Now with Wolf in his first career shutout, he's finally getting going here, right? 7th round pick all the way back in 2019. And I reveal these stats to you. What's the first thing that jumps to your mind when you see this?
Just the comparison between
and sorry, real quick for audio guys, again, you have the 2.78 goals against average for Shesterkin, 0.914 save percentage. Wolf has 2.53 goals against average and a 921 save percentage.
I think the thing that stands out to me is the save percentage. Just me personally looking at it, you have a 921 versus 914. And the 921 is Dustin Wolf. Like if you covered up like these two pictures of Wolf and Shesterkin and you asked me to
I should have done that. Damn it.
That could have been fun. That'll be for next time. That'll be for next time. I think the thing that's really interesting about it, other than that, by the way, just looking at these two, neither one of these guys was in the top 3 rounds of their respective draft. Just pointing that out randomly. 2014, Shesterkin was a 4th round pick, late 4th round pick. Dustin Wolf was nearly Mr. Irrelevant in 2019. I find that to be pretty remarkable.
What's that? Three picks away from being Mr. Irrelevant?
3 picks away. At that time, that would have been 3. It would have been because we were 31 at that time. That would have been that's insane. But I think what it tells you is that sometimes paying a goaltender $10+ million a year isn't always the smartest move. You can ask the Florida. To be fair to Florida Panthers,
he's the exception.
Okay, but it wasn't the exception 2 years ago, was it? 2 seasons ago, what would Florida Panthers fans have said? Waste of money. This isn't going well. Blah blah blah. Now it's fine. He could be bad the rest of his time in Florida, and nobody will care.
Correct.
But just saying, be careful how you evaluate goaltending.
To also put in perspective, these two guys were above Bobrovsky in the overall goaltender standings, in terms, I think it was just in terms of goals against average.
Goals against average,
But I think it's remarkable that we're what now? 12. No, we're 15 games into the season now.
For most teams, more. 15.
15, maybe a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
It's remarkable that it's a small sample size, but it's pretty damn close to being identical with these two, right? And it's funny too when you look at Vladar's start too. He's kind of right there with Wolf, and I'm not even showcasing that yet either, right? But again, on Friday, he made so many key saves that he's keeping this team in it, and it was no score all the way up until that 3rd period where all of a sudden it's Daniel Miramanoff out of all the guys to score, right? Which is alarming in itself. That fact that it took all the way to the 3rd period and you're relying on Daniel Miramanoff to score and then Blake Coleman to get the empty netter. We said it, man. That's if they're going to win games this year, it's going to be low scoring and some random guys grind it out. Exactly. So Miramanoff got the go-ahead goal. Wolf pretty much won the game for them. Then again, that's why I wanted to bring this up. But also too, I go back to the 5-on-3 power play that game. I don't know if you saw it in the highlight package or whatever, but they had a beautiful opportunity. They were 5-on-3, basically a full 5-on-3, and they couldn't get it done, right? And that continues to be the struggle for this team, going forward. It's a tough look, right? And I mean, I don't know how much you caught of the game on Friday or if you saw the highlight packages, but any sort of overall assessment from what stood out to you on Friday's win against Nashville?
I think I'll look at it this way. It was one of those games that, exactly as we talked about, you got to grind them out, right? They're not going to be pretty in terms of scoring depth / talent. The Flames don't have a lot. They don't have like a ton. And this is a team that needs to find different ways to get the puck in the back of the net. And when you're a team that maybe isn't like at the top tier of talent in terms of offensive capability, the best way to get better offensively is to just fire everything at the net. I mean, that's my philosophy in general, regardless of who you have on your team. But especially for a team that is more of a group that will grind things out, I would argue you gotta try to be a bit more aggressive in terms of creating traffic. And there have been games this year where I think the Flames have been that way. And there's times where maybe like you look at the game against Nashville where they weren't as much, but you know what? The difference in the game was simply this. The Flames took advantage of the small little mistakes that Nashville made, and they got going. Nashville didn't. And I'll say this about Nashville. I'm very concerned about how bad this year has gone for them so far.
You think?
This is and you're hearing Barry Trotz say like, oh, if things don't turn around soon, we might go into a rebuild. What was the point of signing Stamkos and Marchessault and Brady Shea to long-term deals if you knew that there was a potential risk of then doing a rebuild anyway? I don't get the mindset there, but nonetheless.
Sure.
Miromanov, great to see him finally get a goal.
Yes.
Because honestly, he's gotten close a couple of times earlier this year where I thought he was going to score. So it's good to see him get one. Blake Coleman is the I give Blake Coleman is the best when it comes to that empty net goal. He is the best on this team by getting. I think if I'm not mistaken, Kyle, I think 3 of his 4 goals have been empty net goals so far this year.
You might be right. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I know we got one against New Jersey a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
He got 2 in that game, but one of them was not an empty netter.
Yeah.
So I think at least 2, maybe 3 of his 4 goals are empty netters. But yeah, like you said, Dustin Wolf, 29 saves. You know what the difference was in this game? It was simply this. The defensive structure for the Flames was just on point in this one. They really did a good job of boxing out, the top guys on Nashville. I think they made it really difficult for them to get going in many different ways. And, good job by the penalty kill. And again, power play, something's got to change. You can't be 0 for 4, have a 5-on-3, and not get at least 1.
Yeah.
You have to.
It's not great. It's not a good
win. Gritty win by this team. A really, really gritty win. And I think the Flames are starting to find their identity again, Kyle. Honestly, I think we're starting to see a little bit more of it over the last couple of games.
That's just it, right? As Neil's getting
Sorry.
nice.
That was an alarm.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, face-off percentage pretty even, like for the most part, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Like it's a good battle. It's another game where they're now all of a sudden out shooting their opposition. You have 33-29 there, so that's a good sight to see. But you're right. Like defensively, I thought they structured it very well. Clearly Nashville was the more aggressive team in terms of hits, but they were proper around Wolf Friday night. In a game that I thought was going to be really tough. I thought this was going to be a tough test Friday night because Nashville, you just said it, like they're desperate because Barry Trotz makes these comments. They're at the bottom of the barrel in the West. They got to find their way out of it. They're not completely out of it either. Like this is a Western Conference still that's wide open, right? And again, we're 15 games into the season. Like, it's everybody's game still. You know what I mean? Like it's still very much wide open for everybody. But you're right. Like they found a way to get another sort of gritty win. It's good, but it's still a little bit more of a concerning level to, okay, like you took all game. Like this could have been very easily the other way around where, you have a guy like Miromanov who scores for you. Nobody else on the team is really stepping up. And it could have gone the other way because Nashville had so many really good quality chances that game. And, it could have very easily been the other way, right?
Right.
Also, shout out to UC Saros, who actually credited Dustin Wolf afterwards. Like, he's been seeing him come up, through the World Juniors and all that. And, he praised him a little bit after the game. So shout out to Saros, who also, too, like, he had a great game. Like, it was
He
just
wasn't
all of
the
a
reason
sudden.
they lost
Oh,
at
God,
all.
no.
He was the only one that showed up for Nashville, in my opinion.
Right.
Very good.
Acquisitions that Nashville had this offseason have the guys, like, they haven't been the ones showing up. The Stamkoses, the Marchessaults, the Shays, like, Brady Shea, I think.
Saros has been as advertised. He's just the same guy. So
yeah, he is the same guy, and he wasn't the reason they lost this game. Brady Shea is now -7 on the season in plus minus. So take that like what you will.
Might have to ask the people over in Carolina their thoughts on what Brady Shea's been doing so far in Nashville, because that was the same problem. He was bad last year defensively. So like
now he's -7.
Now he's he's bad.
So yeah,
we're
like
talking more about Nashville than Calgary in this episode today, boys.
I know. Soros wasn't the reason they lost this game.
No.
Their offense just couldn't find it in the back of the net, and it was all thanks to Dustin Wolf, right? And
Wolfman.
What people kind of forget, and I forgot too, they extended him this offseason to a 2-year deal for not a lot of money.
Not much.
I don't know what the money was, but it wasn't a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
You're getting this out of him right now. And I think you mentioned it too a while ago. For those teams who are looking for goaltenders, you got 2 goalies here who I think are in the top 15 in goals against average. I could be wrong maybe, but Vladar's right up there too. In terms of, I don't know if it's, again, goals against average or save percentage or whatever it is. But all of a sudden, Vladar's kind of turning into a maybe trade piece where somebody's going to fetch out a decently high draft pick for a guy like Daniel Vladar. And I'm liking this more and more and more, right?
Yeah.
Like, have this kind of start. If you can just kind of stay with this course of action, like even if they're 500 or whatever it is going forward, you're seeing this from Vladar, like, great. Like, there's, of course, you're not like Wolf is your future, right? He's 23 years old. He's had a great start to his career. But yeah, you're seeing this out of Vladar now. Like, it's fantastic because all of a sudden it kind of makes up for Mantha being lost for the season when you were supposed to try and see if he had a bit more juice in him, trade him at the deadline, get some value. Now I think you're going to get more value out of potentially Vladar if he keeps it up. And frankly, I love it because there's a lot of teams out there that are now still trying to look for some consistent goaltending 1 and 2.
For sure. And, there aren't that many opportunities every year where you have a goaltender that could become somewhat of a valuable trade piece. I mean, let's look at the Flames from last year, right? You had Jacob Markstrom, and there were a lot of rumors going around. There were a handful of teams that were vying for his services. Things never materialized, but goalies get moved, man. And the only thing that's difficult about it. Okay, we're doing that now. That was right in my face. The only thing about it is that it's funny. I compare sometimes goaltenders to like running backs in football, where they come a dime a dozen, and a lot of them are basically at the same level. For Vladar, he's a guy that could definitely go to a contending team and be a reliable backup goaltender. It would be hard for me to see him go anywhere and then become the number 1 guy, because I don't think anybody – and that's not a disrespectful thing to Vladar. It's just more of teams now are looking at having a 1A and 1B. I think if you look at a lot of teams, not everybody, but a lot of teams, they want to have that 1A, 1B system. And I think the Flames have that right now, which is good. It's good to have 2 guys that on any given night you can put in there and the team in front of them feels comfortable. I wanted to go back really quickly because you were talking about the Dustin Wolf contract extension. He was signed to a 2-year extension back on July 30th of this year for $1.7 million. So that
is wild.
$850,000 for this year, and then $850,000 next year. And I should also mention, Pierre LeBrun, I think, brought this up on Saturday night, that the NHL is looking at potentially an increase of salary cap to about $10 million, which is insane considering
Yeah.
where we've been over the last couple of years, kind of treading water. Then this year we kind of went up, and now we're going to jump like a huge amount. $10 million for any team in the league is going to open up so many possibilities. I'm not saying the Flames are going to be involved in like a huge like bidding
Oh, it
war.
involves everybody, right? It involves all the teams,
It
right?
involves everybody. But if you're looking at your number one guy being paid the next couple of years less than $1 million cap hit wise, I mean, it's like having a rookie quarterback on their rookie contract, and you could go out and spend your money on whatever the heck you feel like spending it on.
It's the San
So
Francisco dilemma there, right?
it's right, the San Francisco dilemma. But I mean, the Flames are not in a dilemma. This is more of
well,
like
yeah.
the Flames are in a great spot with their young
They're
goaltender.
like the thing is, like, if it keeps going this way after the 2 years, he's going to get paid, right? But the beauty about it is that the Flames have like upwards of close to something like $22 million in cap space alone. So if the cap goes up, oh my God, all of a sudden this team might have
$30+ million.
$30 million in cap
Do
space.
whatever you want with it.
Right. So that's why, like, going into the offseason next year, they're not going to be active, more than likely. They're going to see more development from their rookies, right? They're going to work through the draft, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to hold on to it near and dear. And they're going to continue to take bad contracts for the next year. And then
you have the space for it.
Right. And they're saving it. And like, I think what the thing is with these guys is that they're more than likely saving this for the future, right? They're saving this for guys like Dustin Wolf. They're saving it for, if Coronado can find his footing, same thing with Connor Zary, right? They're saving it for key pieces in this team that's going to carry them a little bit, right? Zane Parekh being the number 9 overall pick this past year. They have high praise for him, right? Honzik too. We'll see what happens.
Guys like that. Yep.
They have a lot of prospects in this system that, can stand out. Andrew Basha, who's been lighting it up in the WHL this year.
WHL,
yeah, it's been awesome to see. So yeah, like the point is that they're going to have so much cap space coming up, right? And it just, again, it's a further conversation, but it just goes back.
This is an off-season conversation. This is not a let's look at it now into the second month of the season.
It goes back to Dustin Wolf getting paid $1.2 million, and this is the number he's putting up exact. He's putting up exact better numbers than Igor Shesterkin. It's crazy to think that, right? It's early. It's a small sample size, but it's a really it's. I think overall, like if the season ended today, a lot of positives to take away so far, right?
Yeah.
Like this is exactly what we wanted to see, right? The record shocks us all. Nobody expected this, right? But overall, just a lot of positives. Some areas to still work on. The face-off percentage needs some work. Special teams still need some work because you do need some goal scorers, but that can come in time, right? And you can also, too, depending on who's out there in free agency, you can buy goals as well. So that's a conversation, though, for another day.
Now you make me want to look at the free agent list next year and just start thinking about
we can do it at the end if you want for fun.
I mean, I could bring it up while you're
bring it up. We'll talk about it at the end.
Okay. We can bring it up, and because I think you're about to do the ad read. I think, right?
Read my mind.
Yeah.
So all right. Let's do a quick ad, and then we will get into a preview of tomorrow night's game and just kind of quickly looking ahead to the rest of the week. The 2024-25 NHL season still has that new car smell, and the action is heating up at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started at DraftKings Sportsbook, and you can try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers can bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. You can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets. If your bet wins, you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. If you have a gambling problem, you can call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, you can help is available for proper gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. And on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Voided in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gambling resources, see dkng.com/ice. Also sponsored by Game Time. Neil, I went to a comedy show on Saturday night. See Sebastian Maniscalco.
You saw Sebastian Maniscalco. Wow.
Amazing guy, super funny guy. Got some tickets.
Hilarious.
We were at the top row, 300 levels right up against the wall. We can still see everything, and it was all good. And we got them for super cheap as well. And had an awesome weekend with it. So if you guys are thinking about that as well, you can also go through Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks, which filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Game Time Picks, again, curates makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. It's all in pricing. You can toggle the feature to show the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout, and you get a panoramic view of your seating in the app before you buy. You get the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. And Game Time ticket coverage allows you to have the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. You can download the Game Time app now and create an account using code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code THPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
It's game time.
It's game time. But yeah, he was super funny. He was really, really funny.
No, I've watched a lot of his specials. Really funny guy. He's actually going to be in New Jersey next year. So I'm hoping that I can go.
Go see him. If you want a night out just to like go and have a laugh, he was really funny.
He's really good.
He came out in a Vespa, by the way. Like he comes out.
He's the stereotypical Italian, ladies and gentlemen. Like he's everything you would think. Yeah.
The one joke I remember from Saturday night, because you go through it and then we walk out of the stadium after going like, I feel like I don't even remember half the jokes that he did, right? But it was kind of similar to the if you ever heard the one where he talks about like antifreezing bologna.
Yeah,
and then, like a raccoon problem. Yeah. So he did one where like he's got a mole infestation in his backyard and they're like making these traps and all that, right? And so the guy comes in and he's like, oh, you just got to light some fire bombs down the mole holes and then they're going to like blow up the backyard. And the guy's like, and Sebastian's like, no, we're not doing that. And he goes on and he's like, oh, I have a bit of a rat problem too. And the guy's like, no problem. Let's get this lead pipe in there. We'll put bait on one end. The rat's going to go in. There'll be a tripwire in the middle. And then he goes, you ever heard of an AK-24? It's going to blow the rat's head off, right? And then he's like, I can link it to Bluetooth too, so that if you're at your daughter's recital, you get Bluetooth notification of every single kill that you get.
Right. Every time you get a kill shot.
So funny. Like, yeah, he has some really funny stories, right? And the crowd work too he does is phenomenal. So
yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. He's awesome. He's
really good. So if you decide to go, man, we spent $20 on tickets. Go to Game Time and use the code THPN. All right, let's look ahead to a bit this week. So
I do have the free agent list at some point when you want me to share it. I will
absolutely. We will bring that up right afterwards. Quick side note before we go into this week: congratulations to Ovechkin, who he's still 7th all time in hat tricks. He is now 29 goals away from breaking the record.
29. Yep.
Yeah. So congrats to him on a great night.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, we know.
It's one of those where like none of us are going to be shocked when it happens.
But it's going to be fun to celebrate it, right? Like that's the
real question is, when is he going to get it against what team?
Yes, true. So this week, I mentioned Shesterkin earlier on in the show. We got a battle of two New York teams coming in at the same time, apparently. We got the Islanders coming up on Tuesday. Flames will be home for that one. I imagine Daniel Vladar is going to get the start for that one, considering, well, I don't know, actually.
You might want to ride the hot hand.
You might want to.
If you're Ryan Huska, I would ride the hot hand personally.
I'm kind of thinking Wolf should get the start because, you have your shutout. You should be rewarded. You had 3 days off. Like, this isn't something we're having a back-to-back thing, right? They had a rare weekend off. They have today off. Well, they'll be practicing.
They'll be practicing, but still. I
would like to see Wolf in tomorrow night against the Islanders, a team that is currently 500, 6th in the Metro. And it looks like Wolf is expected to start tomorrow night
Yeah.
against Semyon Varlamov, who's also got a 500 record. Just a quick update for Islanders fans too. Pelech is on IR. He's going to be out still. Still no Matthew Barzal, to my understanding. If
He's
still
out long term.
He's still out long term.
The Islanders are riddled with injuries.
And Alexander Romanov is day to day, so he could be a game time decision. We obviously don't have the lineups for tomorrow night because it's tomorrow and we don't know what's happening. Another really good opportunity for the Flames to grab some points here. This is a team that, like you just said, they're riddled in injuries. It's a 500 team. Varlamov, who's been 500 exactly going into tomorrow. Yeah, like I think you want Wolf to start because you want to reward good behavior. Funny how you meant like it's like the pet analogy there, kind of silly. But like just seeing like I brought it up earlier where he's 6-2-1 as a starter, okay, and he's got the what is it? What did I say? 2.53 goals against average with a 921 save percentage. So he's been so good all year that now it's time to say, all right, we've had a couple of days off now. I think he deserves to get the start. And then I kind of want to see Vladar go up against the Rangers on Thursday. Why not, right? I'd be curious to see how he does. How is he going to this is now like a response for Vladar. Like, okay, we're going to see this in full force now with the Rangers coming to town.
Right.
Your expectations tomorrow against the 500 club in the New York Islanders?
Well, obviously, I've had a chance to watch the Islanders quite a lot, living out here in the New York, New Jersey area. One thing I'll say is that even if they were healthy, the Islanders have always struggled to score. This is not a team that really scores a lot. In ways, it's kind of similar to how the Flames play right now. The team that grinds out points. They're the king. If you remember last year, how many times did the Islanders go to overtime or a shootout just to get a point? Like, this is a team that will do at times just enough. And I think for this Flames team, they got to find a way to get some more offense going. This is a good opportunity if you get on the power play to get the power play going a little bit, especially knowing what's coming. Now, granted, you don't want to think beyond the game that you're focusing on, right? Because the next two games after you have the Rangers on Thursday, and then I think Saturday night, you got Minnesota. So this is a bit of a tough stretch. And we talked about it like 2 weeks ago. Like this week coming up, we knew was gonna be like a pretty big week for them in terms of being at home, getting points, keeping the momentum on their side. Even though I just said that that you might as well ride the hot hand, here's why I would flip and have Vladar go against the Islanders and Wolf against the Rangers.
Okay.
With Vladar, I think I don't want to say he needs an easy game because no team is easy to beat in the NHL. Like everybody's got talent one way or the other. But this is a good opportunity for Vladar to have a good performance, to feel good about himself, keep that momentum going, and give Dustin Wolf an opportunity. And again, I'm surprised you didn't bring it up at all. You literally just brought up a comparison between Igor Shesterkin and Dustin Wolf. Wouldn't it be funny on Thursday night if it's Shesterkin versus Dustin Wolf?
Okay,
Would
fair.
that not be the most perfect like situation for us, in terms of watching them like going up against one another? Now, granted, it's not a guarantee that Shesterkin plays that game. Although the way the Rangers ride Shesterkin, it wouldn't shock me if he played that game.
Sure.
I mean, it all depends on how the rest of the road trip goes. Rangers are coming off a victory over the Seattle Kraken last night. I believe it was 2-0, I think. I don't remember.
So, something like that, yeah.
Something like that. So, yeah, when you look at it, I would flip it the other way, but it also is not a bad thing if you're going to reward Wolf by saying, all right, you get the nod against the Islanders, go play well. Especially like you mentioned, you're off the whole weekend. You're off for 3 straight days before you play this game. Wolf's had enough time to rest, get going here, and go from there. And I think you want to put yourself in a position where if you can win on Tuesday, you're guaranteed to at least be 500 on this homestand, which is good, which is really good considering the back half is going to be harder with the Rangers and Minnesota. But I think either way, especially with how the goaltending has been for the most part, you can't really lose. You can't really feel, I mean, Vladar maybe, you're going to feel a little bit less unsure. But at the
Sure.
same time, Vladar's also had some solid performances of his own in the past. So I
Yeah.
think I don't think Husk is going to change his, you know, his routine in
Philosophy.
terms of the goaltending. I think
Yeah.
he's just going to keep it going. But again, I would go Vladar tomorrow, Wolf on Thursday against the
Yeah.
Rangers.
I
That's how
think I think the tides are starting to shift in goal. I think Wolf is winning the job. He's
he
winning it.
is.
Right? And
He's got my vote right now for sure, 100%.
I like him Tuesday night, just looking a little bit forward, right? Because what you don't want to happen is Wolf, who's been phenomenal all year, frankly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And his best performance, and he deserved it Friday night. So all of a sudden, okay, you play Friday. Oh, by the way, you're not going to play now all the way till Thursday. So now it's a long period of time until you face a tough Rangers team. I want to throw him right back in after the weekend, and today they'll go to practice and all that. I want to see him in action Tuesday night. That way he gets another good break. And I want to see him start Saturday against Minnesota, a Western Conference team, right? And that's why I'm okay with Vladar starting Thursday against the Rangers. Again, I think they expect Wolf to start tomorrow night. Expect and confirm are two totally different words, so we'll see. But I can also I understand, like, like you want to keep doing this back and forth. You want to rest these guys a little bit, but I think this is just a special scenario where, now you've got his confidence up because of his first career shutout. He's feeling good. He's playing really well. Let's keep it up here. Let's go into Tuesday. Let's see what you got. Let's keep it going and try to, you just said it too, actually, against the Islanders, right? Where another team that's struggling to score, well, hello. I mean, nobody could score Friday night against Wolf. So if you're finding guys struggling for the Islanders to score, that might change Tuesday night. Also, too, like outside of talking goaltenders now, because Daniel Miromanov was the only guy to score on Friday, I'm not counting the empty netter. Like, the rest of the team's got to show up here on Tuesday night. Right?
I agree. Yeah.
Like, where's Coronado all of a sudden gone? What's Zari doing? What's, I don't care about the defensive scoring here. Like, Sharon Govich has to get going. Like, there's some key names in there where it's like, guys, we got to get going here Tuesday night. It's a perfect opportunity for it, too, because the Islanders don't know how to score, apparently, right? Like you just mentioned. So, and they're riddled with injuries. Seems like a perfect opportunity to grab some more points here and to keep this train kind of rolling before you go into a tough stretch back-to-back Rangers and Wild. So, I just think that I'm confident about Tuesday because I feel like that Friday that Huska will probably allude to this where, yes, defensively they played really well. They played the right way in front of Dustin Wolf to protect him. But now you have to shift it down the other end and start showing like, okay, we got to find our little scoring touch again that we had at the beginning of the year. Right. And hopefully we can find that again. So, I think it's a perfect opportunity Tuesday night. I like their chances, but, it's the Flames. So we'll see what happens, right?
We'll see for sure.
We'll see. So then, like we said before, we can kind of wrap up today's show because we did mention next year's free agency. Again, it's too far in advance to even talk about, but I figured we already brought it up. So why don't you pull that baby up and we'll take a quick look and see.
So right at the top, you got John Tavares. Mitch Marner is obviously the big one, because who knows, right?
Ben's making
Jamie Benn currently is making 9.5. Guarantee you, everybody, he's not making 9.5 in his next deal. Mikko Rantanen is here. I'm scared because he's making 9.25 now.
Yeah.
So, Nicholas Backstrom doesn't count because honestly, the man is probably going to retire at some point. Brent Burns, Orlov, Brock Besser, Nikolai Ehlers is the most intriguing to me down here. Because
that is the most intriguing one.
He would be. That would be probably like if he doesn't get re-signed in Winnipeg, and the Flames are looking to quote unquote go. I don't know if you call it big game hunting. That would be a guy that I would consider. If you have that much money there, I would say, and what would he be asking for? I would say
You know,
in the
I
range.
want to bring it up again.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would bring it into the range of he's making $6 million now, 7.5 is my guess. Because
sure.
he'll be 20, he's 29, soon to be 30. He'll probably want to cash in and make a pretty decent contract. Who knows? Who knows? But
I think the one. Sorry, go ahead.
no, he's a very, very reliable goal scorer. Very
Yeah,
reliable.
he's going to be intrigued by a lot of
A
teams,
lot of
the
teams.
Oilers, right? Because
100%.
of the cap, right?
Yeah.
They won't be active come this off
No.
season, but there's
No.
one name that jumps out to me, and it's Brock Nelson.
Interesting.
Okay, I say that because he's what 34. He's
He's
34. Is that when
34. Yep.
34 years old? He's getting up there. You know, if not a lot of teams are interested, I think he's a guy that can fill a center role, right, going into next year. He might, hey, like, could be a 1-year contract for him, maybe, and just say,
Yeah.
hey, like, maybe we'll trade you at the deadline and just try
Hey,
to
look who's available.
get something going here. Mangiapane, we got a 2nd-round pick out of him. He's been playing very well though in Washington, and he's super happy there. So good for
Kuzmenko's
him.
obviously here, as we talked.
Kuzmenko's there, yep. So he's been off to a tough start, man. He's a guy that's really got to get going here. Yeah, Yanni Gord, the list goes on here. Aiden Hill, your first goaltender.
Sam Bennett.
So Sam Bennett, he's going to get paid. He's going to get a lot of money coming up. Be interesting to see if the Flames would target somebody like him. If they were to go after anybody in free agency next year, it would probably be at center because they need help there.
They do need center help. Yep.
They need centerman help. Defensively, I think they're okay right now. But yeah, I would expect that they maybe look at the center position going into next season.
And here's like a list of like the centers that are going to be available. Tavares, Backstrom, Yanni Gord would be kind of interesting. But he's up there. He's going to be 34 soon. Michael Granlund. Mikael Granlund's actually had a pretty good year in San Jose. I would expect him to be a trade deadline acquisition by somebody for that center help and also scoring. Andreas Athanasiou, who I think was put on waivers at one point, I think this year.
He got sent down.
And he got sent down. Robbie Fabry, I think is an interesting piece because he's not going to cost too much, in my opinion. Alexander Kerfoot is here. Mason McTavish. Oh, he's an RFA. I was about to say, why?
Again, like they will not be active next offseason. It won't matter, right?
It would shock me if they went out and did something crazy.
Right, which is why I brought up Brock Nelson. Like, he might be a guy to like fill that center role a little bit down the middle, right? It'd be nice to see, like, because you could have like Kadri, Nelson, right, Backlund there, like a good center depth there.
Yeah.
But also too, just to help with the faceoff percentage, right? Mm-hmm. And I think what they're banking on a little bit too is they want to see more goal production here, right? They want to start seeing it a bit more. So, again, you can maybe go out and buy some goals next offseason possibly, but again, too far ahead to look at.
This Flames team, we could have a completely different opinion of this by the time we get to the offseason, which I think we will, honestly, because I think a lot will change. I still am on the side of several of the, there might be a couple guys that go out the door by the time of the trade deadline. Like, who knows, right? We don't know. And I think we have to wait and see. It's just interesting to look at now because, there's going to be rumors that are going to be thrown out there left and right. The Flames fans, we're not going to be really much in anything except probably selling, if we're being honest.
Sure. It's going to depend what happens at the deadline and who's interested. Don't forget that Craig Conroy is still looking for a second and third line center, depending if it won't cost too much money in terms of assets, right?
And there are some free agents out there. I mean, I'd have to look, but I'm pretty sure there's a couple of free agents that are still out there that could potentially fill that role. It just depends on who you ask right now.
So the way that this is kind of going, right? Just looking at overall standings, because again, looking a little far ahead in terms of the draft pick scenario, inside the top 10, in this, like, again, inside the top 10 being they're bad, right?
Right.
They keep their pick. The pick next year automatically goes to Montreal. They're outside the top 10. They will give the pick to Montreal, right? And then they keep Florida and New Jersey's, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm really hoping they stay outside that top 10 now. I think the more that we're starting to see this happen, like, just I really want to see, like, I don't care if it's mucky middle this year. I'm okay
Yeah,
with that. It's okay. Like, you're gonna have 2 picks. I'm fearing that, it's an unprotected first round pick next year. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it is unprotected, and if it's really bad next year, all of a sudden the Habs are going to take it no matter what, and you only have Vegas. So it's like,
for
just
sure.
get rid of it this year, man. Just find a way to finish outside that top 10 and just
Yeah.
get rid of it. It's
Even
not
if
worth
it's like pick 11, great,
whatever, man.
great.
Whatever.
Pick 11,
Like,
pick 12, doesn't matter.
who
Yeah.
cares? Like, just get rid of it.
And
Whatever.
there's a lot
It
of
is
depth
what
in
it
this
is.
draft. From what I've seen, there's a lot of depth here. So like, and as we all know, guys, right? Does every team when they're bad want to get the first overall pick? Of course, right? You want to get that. But there are so many guys, right, that go in the later rounds or don't get drafted at all that become great. I mean, look,
Yeah.
again, Dustin Wolf, still very young, but the dude was nearly undrafted. He's
Yeah.
playing really well,
Mhm.
right? And a guy like Shesterkin, the fourth round pick.
Yeah.
Nobody knew what he was going to be at
No
this
one
point,
knew.
right? So, like, Jesper Bratt, the dude's a sixth round pick, and he's probably one of the most underrated players in the NHL. Like, it's one of those things where it's all about development. So,
Always.
whoever the
Always.
Flames end up getting, that's what the focus is. You
Yeah.
take the players that you think are the right fits for your organization, and then you mold and develop them into the player that you want them to be.
The ideal scenario, you won't like this, is that they finish, they can make the playoffs, whatever, or
Sure.
they miss out,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
Because they'll be high up there now in the picks.
Right.
And then ideally, it'd be nice if either Florida or New Jersey lost in the first round,
Mm.
because then that next pick is going to be somewhere close to where you're going to lose it.
Mm.
So
That's a good point.
that's the interesting part to watch, right?
Yeah.
So be curious. Like, I'm kind of not
And
that.
again, it's
I
still
mean,
early in the year. Like,
it
things could
is.
change. Like, obviously, the Devils have been playing well up until this point, right? But also, they've played more than anybody else. Teams are going to catch up. So the standings are going to look different than what they look like right now. Give it 2 weeks. It'll look
Yeah,
different. Believe me, the
totally.
Devils don't even play till Thursday, right? So
Yeah,
they have the longest break of the year at this point. And, you
enjoy
know,
it.
yeah, exactly, right? Well, the Devils really should enjoy it because they got to be tired at this point with like very not much practice. I'll tell you that. But um, things can change on a dime in this league. I mean, who would have made? I don't know if Nashville's a good example, but I don't think I would have expected Nashville to be this bad at this point
I
in the
I think we're
year.
all shocked that they are at this point,
Yeah,
right?
I know the age is
Just
up there. They're a pretty old team, but at the same time, like it's not like you mean to tell me that Stamkos's talent has dropped that significantly? You
you want to
know,
hear something crazy?
sure.
The bottom 5 teams, if I recall, okay, are basically in the exact same order from the Connor Bedard draft. Okay, Chicago's last, then San Jose, then Montreal, then Columbus, and then Anaheim. It's like it's pretty much almost the same, right? Maybe flip
Yeah,
like 2 teams there, but it's like right, like those 5 are all right there.
they're in
Um,
the wrong area. They
you know
are.
who's going to take a huge nosedive, continue to take big nosedive is Pittsburgh. That team's in the wrong
Guys,
direction, man.
guys, the freaking Sidney Crosby rumors are coming out again. It's happening. Like I know he just re-signed. I get
Oh,
it, but
totally.
like, come on, man. Like it's happening. Like, and it's just it doesn't surprise me
Yep.
because it's an organizational decision that they want to squeeze out as much of this era as they possibly can
Sure.
before they focus in on like rebuilding.
Oh, it's over. Oh
It's
God, it's
it's
over.
over
It's gonna be
because their
his.
goaltending that could be that it'll be really funny, Kyle, is if like the Penguins get their act together a bit, right? And maybe they're
Yeah.
like fighting for a playoff spot and they need goaltending. I'm just saying
In
Ford could be an option.
In our THPN fantasy league,
Oh,
Tristan
gosh.
Jarry is at minus 12 fantasy points. He's
Nobody
not
has
even
him.
in the positive. Nobody knows. He's a free agent.
Nobody. Yeah, right.
He's a
Yeah.
minus 12.
When you're in a 16-team league, people, there's not much to go off of.
Not much goaltending to go
Like when
off.
you're in the free agent market, there like forwards and defensemen you could find, right?
There's no
When you go to
goaltending.
goaltending, there's
There's
nothing.
literally none.
That's why I tell people get your goaltenders early because you're not going to have a lot later in the
That's
draft.
why I have that tandem of Gustafson and Marc-Andre Fleury.
I
still.
forgot who I have. I think I have Markstrom and someone.
You're 5-1.
Yeah,
Yeah, screw you.
I have depth. It's called depth.
Yeah.
I have what the Flames don't have right now, and it's called depth scoring. That's what I have.
It's
So,
true.
like, that would be something that I would like to see the Flames like try to figure out is depth scoring.
Maybe they acquire it.
Maybe.
Right? I mean, maybe they could look at some of those bottom feeders. Like Pittsburgh's gonna be they should be a seller, right? But like they can't find goal scoring. Like Buffalo, we don't know with them. Like
yeah.
Utah's kind of slowed down all of a sudden now. Like the Islanders. Boston's a 500 team. Colorado's 9-9, like bang on 9-9.
Goaltending is a problem there.
Goaltending is a huge problem there. Like it's
Not a mid.
the more
Not
that
a
I look
mediocrity
at it,
in the NHL this year.
right?
The
more that I'm looking at it, the more that I'm starting to believe more and more that the Flames shouldn't finish in that ugly top 10, the bottom top 10. You know what I mean? You got your 5 teams at the bottom.
I think they're in a position of finishing in the middle, like smack dab in the middle.
Good. I'm good with that.
That would be totally, like, honestly, yeah, they can make the playoffs, or even if they finish like as like the first team out, right? They don't make the wild.
18?
Yeah, something like that.
that.
Like, I'll take it. I will gladly take it, right? Because it'll be, like I will gladly take that.
Totally. Because then you hope that somebody falls in the first round, Florida or New Jersey, and then you get your
exactly right.
Get that pick right
And
there.
all you could do, I mean, look, you can only control what you can control. And I think the Flames should look at it like this: regardless of where they finish in the standings, just create that culture, create that structure, and that style of play, and just keep fighting. That's all you can do, right, with this team. And
it's
been up and down. We've had some games where it looked like it, like we had on Friday, and then there's games where the fight isn't there. And I would like to hope that we see more of that fight in the next couple of games here against the Islanders, Rangers, and Wild.
Couple of quick notes to end the show today. So we have Darnell Nurse, who's out 5 to 10 days after his hit from Ryan Reeves. Ryan Reeves, of course, gets that 5-game suspension. Rick Tocchet brought up, I guess we must have missed this, that JT Miller got benched.
He did.
And Tocchet responding with, I play with guys who could help us win. That's an interesting look there. Again, another Leaf news here. Yarncroke out month to month. You mentioned earlier on at the top of the show that Askarov is getting recalled from the AHL. And the Predators actually beat and on top of the benching from JT Miller that he got, Stamkos scored twice in the power play, and the Preds ended up beating the Canucks. And again, Ovechkin with the hat trick, 29 goals away from breaking the record. So there you go.
It'd be really interesting. Again, like it's fun for me to think in my brain, like when is he going to do it, and against whom? I don't think it's going to happen this year, though.
I think it could.
It could, but he's got to have another couple of games soon where he gets like 2 goals, maybe another hat trick, like, or he's got to go on a run, a goal streak run.
After Christmas, what's the number that you could see that he's at? Like how many left that you could be like, okay, he can get it done this year?
Between 14 and 15, I think. That's the way I look at it.
Around 14, 15. Okay,
so, yeah. So he would have to get like 14, 15 more by Christmas, which, is doable.
It's middle of November. It's doable, right?
Middle of November. And if he can go from middle of November to Christmas, getting 14 to 15, there's nothing stopping him from January to the end of the year getting 14, 15 more.
he's got to get under 20, I think, by the time Christmas
I
hits.
agree. Yeah, if he's if he's like 22, 23 away by Christmas, I'm going to be like, it's going to be hard.
It'll be really hard. Yeah.
It'll be really
That hat
hard.
trick helped, though, man.
It did. Because if he didn't get it, right, we would be like, well, he's got 30 some odd to go.
And that's like, okay.
Hey,
But
look,
now
and
we're
they're
having
good.
that conversation because of the hat trick, right?
Now we're
So,
having that right, exactly. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. It's funny, like listening to Wayne Gretzky on TNT, like he's accepted it for about 5 years now, I think, that it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like it's like he's just basically waiting for it, and he actually wants it broken.
Of course he does.
Like he does, like, and
Absolutely.
that's great. No, because there's some guys who have records that don't want them to be broken, and I get that. But then there's
Records
guys who are like, I'd rather. There's guys who like don't want to be famous like that and would rather the record be broken so that nobody talks about them ever again. Look, Wayne Gretzky's never going to not be talked about in terms of hockey lore, but like, I think it'll be more remarkable in this day and age for a guy like Ovechkin to break that record because of just where things have gone. So.
The one record that will never be broken from Gretzky's is his assist record. Because
that'll never be touched.
Crosby hit like 1,000 recently. Yeah, he's like 800 points still behind Gretzky.
It's not catching him.
Hey, no one's catching him.
No one's catching that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll kind of wrap it up for today. We'll be back again on Thursday. We'll recap the game from Tuesday, and then we'll also be previewing that night against the Rangers. I'm going to try and see if we can get somebody on for a guest on that one, but we'll figure out closer to. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Hope everybody else has a good Monday and a good rest of the week, and we will see you all again on Thursday. Later, everybody.